Good morning and welcome to Fast Horses Today. Today is Sunday. It is May 25th and we're in the third day of the long weekend, the Memorial Day weekend. So 4-day race week at Santa Anita and we're more than halfway through. A couple horses I do like here on Sunday, as well as I do like the late pick 5. So let's get started there today at Santa Anita. Well, let's get started in the second race at Santa Anita. I do have a win bet there. Santa Anita, second race post time is about 1:30 Pacific, so 3:30 here in the Central Time Zone. This is a second level allowance race on the 6 furlong flat grass course. We'll make a little win bet here. I don't know what kind of price we'll get, but I'm going to bet the 3 horse We're in Trouble from Michael McCarthy and Umberto Rispoli. This horse is 2-1 in the program. We can get 2-1. It might be worth a couple dollars. That's what I'm going to play. And, I like his last 2 races, off the comeback trail. This horse had been on a bit of a vacation, from 2024, from back in the Del Mar summer meet. They brought this horse out. He's run 2 nice races here at Santa Anita on the flat grass, sprinting, coming second twice. They're switching the jock to Umberto Rispoli, from Juan Hernandez. I think that's probably a pretty even jock switch on the turf. They're putting blinkers on. So you know what? This horse has had, run up against a couple nice turf sprinters in Boss Sully and Fast Buck. Those are 2 nice horses, on the grass there at Santa Anita sprinting. So we'll see if we can get a price on We're in Trouble. We'll put a little win bet there. So that's the second race, the 3 horse We're in Trouble. So we're going to skip over the next several races and go to the 6th race. The 6th race does start off the late pick 5. 6th race has approximate post time of 3:38 Pacific, so that's 5:38 here in the Central Time Zone. And the 6th race starts us off a mile on the grass. These are starter allowance horses with the 50,000 condition claim tag on there as well. So, gives you the option. If you don't meet the starter conditions, you could put your horse in for 50 and you could run there. So I've narrowed this down to 2 horses. If you want a single, I certainly, can understand that. But I'm going to put the 4 horse No Time for Squalls, Mark Glatt, Antonio Fresu. This horse has been running in this condition and just kind of running even races. I feel like this horse probably has a little more to give. He had a little bit of trouble last time in his last race. And, the time before that, the horse showed speed and, just gave it up at the end. So, my fear here in singling the 8 horse is that maybe this horse gets out. We've seen Fresu do this before. Gets out and wires a turf field. It does happen. So we'll put the 4 horse No Time for Squalls in here with Antonio Fresu. And then I will put the 8 horse being Wordplay. This horse does look like a standout on paper. Jeff Mullins claimed this horse off of Simon Callahan. I see all green lights there. Mullins is a super trainer and certainly super with the grass horses. And, I'm not the biggest fan of Simon Callahan. I think, he's a trainer that people do claim off of and prove horses. So, you can make your own conclusions there on why that happens. But, Mullins claimed this horse last time. This horse had been running in allowance level competition, back last year and this year, here on the grass in Southern California. And this horse been running some nice even races, ran with a couple nice horses, a couple nice winners in Venganza, Moment's Pleasure, Sarija, even Run a Mile in My Shoes, a tough Calbred. So, they for whatever reason, Callahan couldn't train this horse to win, so he dropped the horse into a 50,000 starter allowance, and Mullins claimed the horse. So I like the claim. Mullins has done a super job all year long in Southern California, and especially with turf horses. This horse is 3-1. Umberto Rispoli takes the call. He was on the horse last time. The horse finished a really nice second, and, I'm just thinking this horse probably has more to give. So we'll put the 4 and the 8 in the 6th race to start off the late pick 5. All right, now let's move over to the 7th race. 7th race, a 6 furlong dirt race. These are open 10,000 claimers, and these are 3 and up. And, it's interesting. You don't see these open claiming races anymore, at Southern California. You kind of see these conditions, or you see the starters or the ones that are geared towards the Northern California. But this is just open 10,000 claimers. So, I think that it's a competitive race, and there's several horses have a shot here. I'm going to put 4 horses here to advance the ticket. I'm going to put the 2, Gypsy Lynn, for Jerry Wallace and Edgar Payeras. Now, Payeras, is definitely well known in Southern California riding at nighttime. He rides up up a storm there and wins a lot of races. Occasionally you'll see Pieris does come to the big track, and does get it done at times as well. So Pieris has been on this horse last several times. This horse has been running at the Los Alamitos nighttime program and some allowance races, claiming races. And I thought the horse has run well. What I do really like about this horse has a history at Santa Anita. 2 wins and 4 starts at Santa Anita in these claiming races. So she could certainly get it done. Jerry Wallace has had 1 start in the spring rate, finished second. I know the horse ran pretty well. So, Wallace, the trainer, doesn't get a whole lot of chances, but, can get it done at times. So Gypsy Lynn, 8-1, we'll put her in there. I think that she fits in this group. We'll put the 3 horse, Seize the Image. Felix Rondon, Wilfred Arantes is on the horse here. Now this horse has had the apprentice Batista on the horse. So they're making a switch here. Batista, has been riding pretty well lately. But, this horse has been knocking around in those starter allowance races that they've been running, since the year started, that are, kind of geared towards the Northern California horses. But this horse has been in there, been running well with those horses. And, some of those races come up pretty tough. You've got some multiple winners, some horses that, are just towards the end of maybe their career, but sometimes those races do come up tough. So Seize the Image, I think, has done a nice job in those races. So, makes me think, she can definitely be competitive there. She's 4-1 in the program. As I mentioned, the apprentice Arantes on the horse, so we'll put Seize the Image in there. Going to put the 5 horse. 5 horse being Discrepancy for Peter Miller. Miller claimed this horse recently off Sergio Morfin. Now he puts Abel Liscano on the horse. Now this horse has been, running at Santa Anita in the claiming races and also in the starter allowance races, and showing up every time, giving a nice effort. Has a couple wins this year, a couple in the money finishes. So she's 3-1. Certainly, not a surprise there, and she can definitely take care of this field, if she's feeling right today. And finally, we're going to put the 8 horse. The 8 horse being Twilight Empire. Twilight Empire for Lobrato Baraccio. Kyle Frey takes the call. Now, Baraccio's done some nice work with these type of horses, in these claiming races. And this horse had been in the starter allowance races and, been competitive as well. So, she's, a horse that, does some nice work with, 12 of her 21 starts in the money, has done fine on the dirt with, a win from 7 starts, 3 seconds and a third, just a matter of getting her a nice trip. Kyle Frey can certainly do that. So we'll put her in here as well. So we've got the 2, 3, 5, and 8 in the 7th race. All right, now let's go over to the 8th race of the day. 8th race, open company, maiden special weight. There's 1 mile and 1/8 on the grass. And these are 3-year-olds and up. And, a nice bunch of horses here. I've got 2 horses here, as well as a win bet I'm going to make in this race. I am going to put the 2, who is Mutaz for Bob Baffert, and Juan Hernandez. This is a big purchase price, $550,000 purchase price. And, not surprising, the owners, of this horse, they seem to spend a lot of money on horses and give them to Bob Baffert. It doesn't always work out, but, sometimes it really does. Now, we're going to see if this horse works out. I don't know that they purchased this horse for that much money to be a turf runner. It doesn't usually work that way in the Baffert barn. But, anyway, she's had 1 start. Ran on the turf with some of these. And, I like the stride this horse had. She's a big, good-looking horse, so it's not surprising that, she probably cost that much. She was probably one of the beautiful, horses there in the auction ring. So, she has a nice stride. Hernandez got her out from an outside post in her first start. It was a mile race. And, she just kind of stalked the pace. And then I don't really know what happened at the top of the stretch. She kind of just had some awkward action and then just backed off. So I really don't know what happened there. I'm sure Baffert figured it out. They took the blinkers off her, so maybe had some focus issue. I don't know. But, at 5-2 from an inside post here in the 2-hole at 1 mile and 1/8, this horse can get out, probably get the lead and show that nice fluid stride that she has. And, we'll see if she lives up to her purchase price. So we'll put Mutaz in here, that being the 2 horse. And then I'm going to put the 5 horse, who is Catch the Breeze, from Michael McCarthy and Umberto Rispoli. And this horse is 3-1. I'm going to make a win bet also on Catch the Breeze. Now, I really think Catch the Breeze is going to go off higher than 3-1. I think this horse is going to be forgotten here in the betting. People are going to see the last couple races, just see some even efforts and maybe just, kind of forget about this horse. But I think this horse has had some tough trips, in her last couple. And, I'm going to just go with her last 2 turf starts. I'll throw away the dirt race. They're not run on dirt, so we're not worried about that. But, I think that He's run nice races in his last two. Some troubled starts, troubled trips, and I think that with a clean trip, Umberto Rispoli, who takes the call today from Kyle Frey, will be an improvement. I mean, Kyle Frey definitely rides horses well, wins on the turf, but I think Rispoli will, improve this horse a few lengths. So we'll put Catch the Breeze in here and also make a win bet on Catch the Breeze here in the 8th race. We've got the 2 and the 5 and the win bet on the 5. All right, now let's move over to the next race of the day. Next race being the 9th race. Now this is a 6 furlong dirt race, and this is a condition claiming race, $16,000, non-winner of 2 in a lifetime. And these are fillies and mares. A competitive race here. I'm going to put 4 horses in the race. I don't have a strong opinion, so we'll put 4 horses, with the survive advance method here. I'm going to put the 1 horse who is Mucho Magical, Alfredo Marquez. Umberto Rispoli takes the call. This horse has been running in maiden claimers, broke her maiden for $20,000. They're putting her in here, so it's kind of a natural progression there. 3-1, she could be good enough here. I'm going to put a long shot here in Renatus. Renatus for the Antonio Garcia barn, and Ayuso takes the call. And I know Ayuso and Garcia have paired up to do some nice work, in the past. This horse is 15-1. Calbred here, she had been running in maiden special weights for the, most of her career. When they did put her in a claiming race in a maiden 32, she got it done, just kind of an average race, but average could probably win here in this field because this is not a very strong field. So we'll take a long shot chance here with Renatus. Going to also put the 4 horse. 4 horse being Ryan's Girl, George Papapadromo, and Kazushi Kimura takes the call. Now, it's a jock switch. Diego Herrera was on this horse for her entire career. So a jock switch to Kimura, which I feel that's a positive there. This horse has been running with better, running with California first-level allowance horses. So this is certainly a dip in class. When they dipped this horse into a maiden 32, she ended up winning the race pretty nicely. So, should definitely fit here in this condition claiming race. 4-1, so we'll put Ryan's Girl in here. And then finally, going to put the 6 horse. 6 horse being Princess Daddy for Hector Palma and Arantes, the apprentice on the horse. Now, Arantes has a couple live horses here today. He might get a couple wins today. We'll see. But, Hector Palma's had this horse now, put this horse in these same level races. This horse has run a couple even races, once in a sprint, 5 furlongs, and they sent the horse long to a mile race last time. She kind of just put up an even effort. 6-1 here. I feel like this horse can be finishing up strongly. There's going to be some speed in this race. And, I feel like maybe that speed might fall apart. And you could see Princess Daddy picking up the pieces. Arantes has definitely done that before. You see him finishing up nicely. So we've got the 1, 2, 4, and 6. I am going to go against who I think is going to be the favorite. That's the 8 horse Matina for Ryan Hansen. Not putting this horse in. I feel like this is just a give-up race here. That Ryan Hansen probably got stuck with a hot potato claiming this horse for 25 off of Mark Glatt. They're putting this horse in at 16, a 4-year-old filly by Not This Time. The Not This Time horses have been very much in demand, so it makes me feel this horse is probably done, and I'm not going to put her in, so we'll play against her. All right, now let's go to the last race of the day. Last race being the 10th race. This is a 6.5 furlong turf race on the flat grass course, and we've got California bred maiden fillies, 3 years old and up. Interesting race, a lot of big field here. I've got 4 horses here, so the thinking is have a live ticket, 4 horses in coverage, and hopefully get this job done. So I'm going to put the 2 horse Ride Elbow Ranch for Mark Glatt, Abel Lascano. These guys paired up to win or to get together here on this horse first time out in her career. She ran in a nice race, which was a dirt sprint. Now, I feel like the move to grass is going to be an improvement for this one. She's got some grass breeding. The mare, the mom of this horse, Ioya, comes from that Ioya family, Cause Ioya. And, I'm familiar with that family. That's an Illinois bred family there, Cause Ioya. I know that's Chris Block, and there's been, several turf winners that have come out of that family there. So, I think this mare, definitely turf, and then by Clubhouse Rides. So Clubhouse Rides, they kind of do it all, long, short, turf, dirt. They kind of do it all there in California. Ride Elbow Ranch, I thought, had a pretty nice first start. Ended up coming third. A little bit of trouble. I thought she finished up nicely. 9-2, we'll put her in there. Going to put the favorite, who is Darlin Tammy, for Jeff Bondi and Arantes. And I mentioned Arantes has certainly, several live horses here today, so he could have a big day. So, this horse has been running at this maiden special weight level in her entire career. They've tried a couple different surfaces. She puts up nice efforts. She's been coming second, her last few times with nice races. You got to wonder, if it's the kind of thing where she's just going to keep nibbling away and being a second-itis type of horse, or is she going to get it done one day? So I'll give her a shot here. There's some first starters we don't know about. She's run some nice races. We'll see if they can figure this horse out today and get this horse to the winner's circle. She's 5-2, going to be the favorite, but certainly, I wouldn't single her or make a win bet on her, but we'll put 4 Darlin' Tammy. Going to put the 5 horse also who is Severe Clear for Dean Pedersen, Tiago Pereira. Now, these guys have certainly paired up and done some nice work. Now, this is a first starter, by Vronsky out of a Street Sense mare. She's had some nice works. Pedersen's done pretty well with first starter, so we can certainly get him ready. And, 3-year-old here, so, we'll see. She's got some nice works. She's 8-1 in the program. We'll put her in. And then finally, I'm going to put the 12 horse in. Not sure she's going to draw in, but as of right now, we'll put her in. She's on the also eligible list. The 12th being Sabella for Sean McCarthy and Tyler Bays. Now, Bays has ridden this horse 3 times. She's run some good races. I think that a couple of the winners have been nice horses that she's run with. She ran with Tight Squeeze, Garden Party. OK Rose. OK Rose came back to win this past weekend, I believe. OK Rose, but so I think she's run with in some live races. She's 5-1. The 12 horse. If she draws in, we're going to put Sabella here. McCarthy's horses have been running pretty live here in this spring meeting. He's had 8 starts, a win, 2 seconds, and a third. So his horses have been running well. We'll see if this horse does draw in. I think this Daughter of could certainly be dangerous here. All right, now let's recap the day and recap the tickets. Okay, so for Sunday, May 25th at Santa Anita, we've got a couple win bets and we've got a late pick 5. So let's start out with the win bets. We've got in the second race, betting the 3, We're in Trouble. Moving to the 6th race. 6th race started a late pick 5. 4-8 with 2, 3, 5, 8 with 2, 5. In the 8th race, and in the 8th race, we've got a win bet on the 5, Catch the Breeze, with 1, 2, 4, 6, with 2, 4, 5, and 12. If that ticket stays intact and nobody scratches, that'll be a $128 ticket. And then we've got the win bets in the 2nd race, the 3, We're in Trouble, and the 8th race, the 5, Catch the Breeze. So if you see fit, you want to bet as is, I wish you the best of luck. If you want to add or subtract, bet within that sequence, the pick 3s, the pick 4, that late pick 3. I wish you the best of luck. Let's wish the folks over at Santa Anita a very safe race day, a very safe day of racing there. And let's wish ourselves some luck and some good trips today and get some nice results and some wins. So again, I appreciate you watching Fast Horses today and listening to the picks. If you haven't done so already, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And those that have, I really appreciate you. You can like, dislike, make comments. I promise to respond to everything. Let's create a discussion. So let's have a good day here on Sunday, May 25th at Santa Anita, and we'll be back tomorrow for Memorial Day at Santa Anita. Thank you.